Well, good morning and welcome to this special interview with Bermuda School Sports Federation officials. I'm speaking with Manny Ferreira, who's the administrator of Bermuda School Sports Federation, and Arnold Mendes, who is the administrator for the, I want to say, education, health, and sports for the ministry. Is that correct, Mr. Mendes?
Curriculum also for PE and health, yes.
Okay, all right. As we all know, the school year is about to get back underway for the public schools. Some of the private schools have already started. But one of the things that I think is being, well, not overlooked, but kind of given a backseat is the fact that we do play a lot of sports in schools and inter-school. And with the school year coming up, I just wanted to give an opportunity for people to hear what the plan is for school sports and inter-school sports as such, because we know at the beginning of the year, many of you arrange the six-a-side tournament, there's swimming, there's indoor events as well. So first of all, we'll start with you, Mr. Mendes, about the health side of the students that are going to be back in school, especially for PE.
Well, it's got to follow the Department of Health's safety guidelines and protocols, which it's the same all around. 6 feet, social distancing, their hands, washing their hands. You just got to follow all those guidelines, and it means being a little bit more creative. What you're doing in the PE classes, keeping into account that you have to keep them 6 feet apart. But the ministry has to make some policies on how we're going to do it, because the classes right now are too big. We also have most of the schools are using the gymnasium, so all that type of stuff needs to be worked out. But for sports in general, it's the same as what's happening around in the island and around the world. It's the social distancing, washing out your hands, all those things. That's what it is. It's a new world for a little while anyway. Hopefully for not too long.
So at this time, we're still in talks about how all this will materialize for schools to have PE classes. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I've made my recommendations. It goes to the ministry. Then you got to realize that the principals are the ones that do the schedules. It's still working. We're still working on the logistics and how it's going to work.
Yeah, Manny, for you, you arrange a lot of the inter-school events throughout the school year, and obviously this will have a significant effect on what events can possibly take place. Now, right off the bat, you have the side tournament at Shelley Bay. You also have the swim meet at the National Sports Center. What are the latest plans for those to actually take place or not take place?
Yeah, well, it's been a challenge since February, right? 'Cause, we lost track and field and all our cricket. So, but luckily, throughout the years, we have formed good partnerships with all the NSGBs. And so I have spoken with the health department last week. And so we basically had to create our own protocol, procedure, policies. So I am working with the NSGBs, the Bermuda Football Association, BFA, Bermuda Volleyball Association, Bermuda Netball Association. So it doesn't make sense trying to reinvent the wheel, right? So the policies and procedures they have in place already, especially ones that have been already approved. So we're gonna, work with those and alter it however we need to for ourselves. Like last year we did most of our seats aside at the BFA field because it's a better service. But now, obviously, with the numbers in that small area, we probably won't be probably will be able to make that happen. So I'm looking at using Chevy Bay, hopefully, and then make 2 fields instead of 4, and I'd like to set up a map where each school will have a certain area where they will have to play. And we're just trying to produce these procedures to send to the health department and to see if we get approval or not. And hopefully, if there's any issues, work with them to see what we can do to make them, viable for us to, have sports this term. In the first term, there's only really football, volleyball, netball, and swimming, right? So, yes, I'm really concentrating on those right now. We can see how things transpire in the next few months. In November, maybe start looking at the, second term sports, just seeing where we are, and, what the environment's like, and, if, again, track and field might be a challenge. Sports where we have very large numbers of students there, so swimming, I think, might be a challenge too. So we'll see. We'll put it all together and see what happens.
Yeah. When you're arranging these type of things, obviously for this year and the early part of the year, the indoor-outdoor factor will come into play because the fact that if you're indoor, it's closer environments, and with the numbers that you have for sport like volleyball, can you see you trying to adapt that to move that to outdoor if the weather is convenient for you to do that as opposed to doing it indoor, which allows you a lot more space?
That's a conversation I'm having right now with the DBA to see if we could probably just do some outdoor tournaments instead of indoors. It might be different when one school's visiting another just to play a league match.
Looks like we're lost.
Sorry?
No, good.
So the numbers are much smaller, so it's easier to contain everyone, and all the guidelines can be met. Now, when you try to have a tournament with 17s, that's going to be a challenge indoors. We don't have these really large gyms that they do in other places where you can easily spread everyone out. It'll be a real challenge to everyone distance in an indoor tournament. So yeah, it's challenging. But, I also think it's important that we try to get back to some kind of normalcy, and all of our students, they're eager to compete again. It's been a long summer without I see youth cricket's back up again, which is a good start. We're with the BFA, our youth programs, there will be getting started at the end of September. But school sports is also an important part of that. So.
I think the problem they're going to run into, Earl, is that some schools have already closed their gym to people using, trying to prevent the virus. So I know at Barclays you usually use that for under 19 training, and I spoke to them about renting. They had to wait to see what policy they were going to adopt as far as outsiders using the gym. We've already lost. DHS have already told us, BCB, that we can no longer use their facilities. If there's anything that we have there, we need to remove it if we need it. So I don't know what policy private schools are not under my realm, but we don't know what they're going to do, and we certainly don't know what government's going to do as far as people using the particularly the gymnasiums. Outdoors, I believe, it's a different situation. Like you said, it's open space, it's bigger space. You can keep people apart for the most part. So those are the things that we have to look at. But that's just what it's been since COVID-19. You have to expect the unexpected. Nothing remains the same.
When do you think some sort of announcement or some sort of agreement on how things can progress will be done? Because we're not far off from these kids returning back to school, but you want the parents to know ahead of time what the reality is. And everybody understands it's COVID, but you know, at some point in time, we have to come up with a plan on how we're going to move these particular events forward.
I think it's going to take some time to organize them because I think I can only speak for government schools. Government schools is going to take a little while to get sorted out because we got to look at how school's going to be run now. It's a different ballgame. You're not just going into a school and kicking off right away. You got to deal with the social and emotional stuff, particularly with the kids, teachers, everybody. So maybe I'm not sure what man is thinking about, but it's not going to start as early as it usually start because there's a lot of things that have to be worked out logistically for us to work in a safe environment.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm working on those, the policies. And so we have to submit it to the health department. It's probably going to take some back and forth to get it right. I don't anticipate us. I know we won't be doing anything before October anyway.
Yeah.
And we have to. Some schools might not want to participate, and we have to respect that. We have to ensure we do the best we can to make sure we mitigate any kind of incidents or. And then the other issue is also we have schools who are working in clusters. I mean, in bubbles, right? And so on a year bubble, so the year 10s don't really interact with the year 9s. So the only way they're going to happen is if they get together to play sports, right? So now you merge in some bubbles, or you bring pieces of bubbles into another bubble, So I think some schools might have a challenge with that, or might have an issue with that. So again, like I said, consulting with the health department, we just have to do the best we can of preparing our policy. If every school accepts it, great. If some don't, we have to understand and appreciate that. It's going to be a challenge. I don't, it's going to be different this year, and we'll see how long it's going to stay that way. But hopefully, this is something that will only affect this school year. That's it.
I'm glad we got this opportunity to chat because I think a lot of times when people talk about school, one of the most important things that to me is the PE side of it that it seems to be overlooked a lot because they're so concerned about the in-school stuff where not every kid is built for indoor learning and needs that runoff, needs that breakaway kind of thing, and PE offers that as well as other things around the school. But looking at how the message will be received by or the discussion by the principals, the health department, you guys department as well. Where do you see some of the, I guess, resistance from principals wanting their kids to be involved in activity that also includes outside schools involvement?
Yeah, I don't know. That's something that's going to have to be discussed between the principals and the upper hierarchy of the Department of Education. But you're correct. Physical education, health, and the core subjects usually take a backseat to the core subjects. But I think they need to realize that, first of all, when you're the most overweight, obese country in the world, these kids are not moving like they used to when we were growing up. And it's very important, and all the most recent research shows how physical activity or fitness can improve academic grades. So I think it's something that the government, the health department is pushing for it. But if you look at it, we are way under the minimum amount of minutes for PE that's recommended by Shape America and the World Health Organization and UNESCO. Like we're way behind. We are the most obese and overweight country, but we're taking away kids' rights. And when you think about it, there's almost you can call it child abuse. Because every time when something happens, they look to take the case. You need your help. And right now with COVID-19, they should be using us more often because you got kids in, you got kids out. You're looking at, like I told you, the social and emotional part. the eating part, the sleeping part, the physical activity. We're the ones that are in charge of that. And, you know, that can help the schools, the parents, the teachers, and the island in general when you think about it. To me, it's a no-brainer.
When you look around, you see, obviously, I know you're involved in cricket outside of your job, and many you're involved in football outside of your job, and both organizations have been kind of working their way back to having some form of activity in their sport. Now, we go to school, and some of these same kids that will play cricket over the weekend or play cricket or play football over the weekend will be restricted from doing the same thing for the school. What will be the difference?
I don't think it's going to be. It'll be. I'm thinking that it's going to be worked out. Danny's been in contact, and I have been in contact with Ms. Marie Beach, who's the Healthy Schools coordinator. As long as we can bring out the right protocols and make sure we follow them strictly, and I don't see a problem with being a problem. It's just like cricket started. You know, I've had a few hiccups at the start, but now, you know, everything's running properly. And I'm sure it's just going to take football and the rest of the sporting bodies to get those protocols out with the government COVID-19 guidelines, and just make sure you follow them. That's how it's going to be. And once we don't do it, then it's going to cause problems for other sports in there. So, I mean, everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows the expectations. It doesn't change that much. Like you said, physical distance, washing on your hands, checking the temperatures. If you're sick, you don't go to school. Teachers or students, if you're sick, you don't go play your sport. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but Earl, funny enough, I was speaking to one of the teachers today, and a point, you know, is so if a student is out on the weekend and you know, has some contact and you know catches something, right? When they go back to school, they're still within that year bubble, right? So you still contain it within that bubble, trace it within that bubble. Now, if you're playing a football game where students from 3 different year levels are all on the same team, and if something happens, they go back to school, the whole school is affected. You know, the whole school is at risk, right? Not just that one, you know, bubble. So, you know, that's something I didn't really think about, but you know, it makes sense. It's something. So, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to respect, you know, the risks, the wishes, and the policies schools put in for themselves, right? And you know, I know again, speaking outside SSF, you know, BFA, you know, we're expecting to have our youth and children's games as normal come end of September. The only difference is some fields where we usually have 2 games at a time, smaller field, you know, we might not only be able to have 1, right? But I don't think it's going to affect the number of matches we play. It's just more games that we needed. That's all. You know, so and also, you know, school gets back in next week with the private schools, and you know, on the 14th with our schools. So you know, by the middle of October, I like to hope that we have a good idea of what's going on within the schools. You know, I think that everything safe as it is now. I'm hoping that we'll be allowed to just, you know, slowly introduce school sports into that.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we can get together again once school's just ready to get back in. If we have an update, you guys can update the public on what's going to happen with school sports. Because I know a lot of parents look forward to it, not just the student, but the parent looks forward to their kid interacting with other kids from other schools in their age group, and then also get that activity on the weekend, whether it be football, karate, basketball, whatever sport it is. It's just one of those things that a lot of people look forward to.
Yeah, and I've spent, you know, COVID times developing a new website. You know, we did our Denton Herald Awards. Thank you for putting that up for us. You know, we did that virtual. You know, I'm learning a lot of little tricks, and you know, I'm excited about promoting our students and promoting these the games and stuff. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready. You know, but again, you know, we just have to wait and see, you know, when the right times, you know, for it to happen.
I'm sure it's going to work out. It's just a matter of making sure that we have the right thing in place, and then if we start later, we start later. It's not a big deal. But we just have to make sure we follow all the health and safety protocols, and that goes for parents if we allow spectators in. But you know, we just gotta soldier on, and it is what it is. We may have a short version of it, but I'm sure that that we will have most of the sports up and running. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for your time. Look forward to chatting with you again soon and give another update on school sports for the upcoming school year. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us out.